Hey friends, Monodux here, demonstrating a quick self-transposing patch with two 960 sequential controllers on the modular system. You've heard in the opening how that works, and I want to just show you quickly how I've patched it together to do that. I'm using 3 oscillators for this patch and just running through the voltage controlled low pass filter. Using a single envelope for amplitude and filter control, and I just want to show you how these sequencers work together. So let's get in a little bit closer. Alright, so first up we have the first 960 controller, which is controlling the main melody of my sequence, and this is set up in a couple of interesting ways. First off, we have the output from the oscillator routed to our interface module to provide triggers for the envelope, so that's really important. And then secondly, I've got 2 lines of that sequencer routing into this sequential switch, and from column 1 on the sequencer, every time that fires off, it's going to switch which row of the sequencer that we're listening to. So that's one layer of what's going on. And what I'm doing with the second 960 sequencer is I've basically got a 1-note sequence set up. So we're only using step 1, and I've got 3 pitches programmed into that first step on each of the 3 rows. And this is wired up such that the trigger from our other switch is going to switch our rows on this sequential switch. And the clock from the other 960 oscillator is driving our steps. So I'm not actually using the internal sequencer, the internal oscillator on this 960. I'm advancing it via the oscillator on the other one. So what happens is, each time we hit step 1 on this 960, it's going to send a signal to switch the sequential switch over here. And what that does, since I'm not actually using the oscillator on this sequencer, what that does is it takes the pitch information from step 1 of each row and combines it with the pitch information from this 960, and the result is that we get a transposed sequence. This makes heavy use of our oscillator controller module. So let me see if I can get in here. I have both sequencers running into oscillator control inputs, and then the output of that goes to my oscillator driver, which controls the pitch of my oscillators. So that means I've got combined signals from my sequencers sending kind of 2 layers of pitch information to the oscillators. And as I go through this patch, or as I was building it, I had to kind of make adjustments, because essentially whatever pitch information I have here is going to be transposed by these steps. So I hope that makes sense. This is the first time I've tried to do sort of a progressive patch like this with the two sequencers, and I'll just fire it off again so that you can see what's happening. Alright, so I've got my first 960 going through the steps. Remember that step 1 on this one is sending us a CV signal to advance our sequential switch. So every time I hit step 1, it's going to switch between rows 1 and 2 on the sequencer. The other thing that happens, it's a little harder to see because this sequencer isn't active, but every time, every time I hit step 1, it's going to shift this sequential switch. So I've got one step of pitch information that gets transposed every time my other 960 finishes its cycle. Pretty fun. I hope this is useful or at least interesting for anybody that may have multiple sequencers and multiple sequential switches. It's quite a cool thing, and it's totally hands-off. I don't even have the keyboard connected, so it's pretty great. It does a lot of work for you and frees up your hands to do other things. I'm hoping I can turn this into a more complete track at some point in the near future. There's a big update coming for the channel soon, so do stay tuned. This entire case is going to get rearranged to accommodate something new, so more on that later. One other thing that we'll have featured pretty soon is the newest addition to the family, the Digitakt. It's my first time working with it, so I'm going through the learning curve right now, but I will keep you posted and hopefully have some new music for you to check out soon. Alright, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.